the breastfeeding policy. Fiona?
Thanks, Marie. Hopefully you can hear me. Apologies, folks. I had a bit of trouble getting in. You can. Good. Okay. So this policy, we wanted to bring it to the JCC. I know it's also gone through Finance and Resources Committee, but we thought it was important to bring it to the JCC, particularly for the trade unions, to see what this paper's about and how we will plan to take it forward. So just in terms of the context, I won't go through the paper in detail, but I'll give you the context and what will happen next with the paper. So this is very much in support of a larger piece of work that the Council has been working with in partnership with NHS Lanarkshire for quite some time. And that's around enhancing our current arrangements. So our current breastfeeding arrangements are in the form of a guidance note. And what we would ideally like to do is become a breastfeeding friendly organisation. So to do that, we need to enhance what we have in place at the moment. So what this proposal does is it takes what was a guidance note and now puts it in the form of a full breastfeeding policy. You'll also note in the paper that we understand that rolling out a policy per se is not going to give us what we need across the council to ensure that mothers returning to work are getting the sort of support they need and the facilities they need to be able to comfortably breastfeed their children. So in addition to the policy, you'll also see that arrangements have been made for training, particularly for line managers. So we will be taking the policy forward after it's ratified at full council on Thursday. And then we will roll the policy out, but we'll also roll out support and training for line managers as part of that intention to become a breastfeeding friendly council. So I'm happy to take any questions on it. It's very much a positive initiative and supportive of staff.
I think you've got off lightly there, Fiona. No questions. Thanks very much for that. Agenda item 3 then, if we can move on, the introduction of electric car salary sacrifice scheme.
So yes, thanks, Chair. This is a slightly more complex paper, so apologies for that upfront in terms of the length of the paper and the amount of information that's in it. Again, it was taken through Finance and Resources for approval, so its journey to here is more about ensuring that the JCC have got full visibility of an intention to bring forward an electric car scheme. We have, as a local authority, been considering this type of scheme for quite some time, but as you'll see, there are significantly more considerations for both employees and for the council in bringing forward such a scheme. But we felt with the timing around things like hybrid working and also the increased costs that we're all experiencing, particularly in terms of things like fuel, this was an ideal time for us actually to bring forward an electric car scheme to benefit employees. So at this point in time, we have sought approval from the Finance and Resources Committee for that scheme to be taken forward. So that's what's in the paper. You'll see some illustrations that are in there around the potential savings cost for both employees and for the council, and those are quite substantial if the scheme is well received and the uptake is even at 1%. I think the saving to the council is something like £1 million. So these are very good schemes, and we've looked in detail with our finance colleagues at the implications for the council. We've also looked at how this scheme works in other councils, and on balance, most of the feedback we've got around that is really positive. So we'd like to take that step now and formally introduce the scheme. We now have approval from the Finance and Resources Committee to go out and seek a partner who will work with us. So the next step is for us to go into procurement. And as we then shape the final scheme, there'll be a further step in terms of taking that back to Finance and Resources for full approval. But of course, we will involve the trade unions in the discussion and shaping of that scheme as we go through to the next stage. So I just want to make sure you've got full visibility of the scheme. It is a really positive thing, but there are obviously a few more considerations in there for both the council and for employees. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Fiona. Another positive report. Any questions? No.
I've got one, Marie.
I think Councillor Barclay's want to come in.
Yeah, so I didn't know whether to put my hand up or put a bit in the chat. I'm in between WebEx and Teams and whatever we're doing here. Sorry for it's just I think it's great, really positive, especially the making sure that the trade unions are involved in this again. It's just that as a kind of taking things forward, it's to look at the number of charging points that we have in the council as we increasingly move towards having electric cars or hybrid cars. Then it's really making sure that that really in an ideal world, the number of petrol stations we have should be replicated with the number of charging points really that we have within the council, and it's to see has that side of it been looked at to make sure that there are sufficient number of charging points, and going forward that there will be.
Thanks, Councillor Bartley. I believe there is work underway around that, particularly aligned to the new council estate and particularly the 6 buildings now that we're really focused on the use of those 6 buildings. I believe there is work underway through Nicole Patterson and her team as part of that, and also I think looking at some of our, even our green space. I know the Chief Executive was talking about using things like electric car schemes to incentivise people to use our parks and spaces while they're charging their car. So I do know there is work underway on that. I don't know the detail, Councillor Bartley, but I can assure you I think there's work underway.
Any more questions on that paper? John?
Hi Fiona, it's just on the salary level for the scheme. Do you envisage that you're going to get a number of difficulties with people below this a certain salary scale that's not going to be able to be on the scheme? And also, who was it that put the kind of salary scales? How did you come to that figure? Thank you.
So that was one of the considerations, John, and it's certainly been on the back of our mind about bringing such a scheme forward because of that minimum salary level. So the way that that's calculated is by the payroll team in terms of whether it's affordable, given the monthly payment, whether it's actually affordable for a staff member below that salary threshold to be able to afford the scheme. So that is one of the downsides of this. There is a threshold at a certain salary point, but that's how it's been calculated, John. As I say, we've made that up front and clear in the paper, and that is one of the downsides of taking this approach because it does exclude a small number of staff.
Sorry, Fiona, could you be able to tell us what that salary cap is?
I think it's in the paper, Willie. It's round about 25,000, if my memory serves me right. I'll get you the detail on that, but certainly we can talk as we move through the procurement exercise and the detail of the scheme, and we get more specific data, more accurate data. We can certainly discuss that with you.
Any more questions on that paper? Can we move on then to agenda item number 4, the revision of the Learning and Development Policy? Take it that's you again, Fiona.
Apologies. Some of my team are actually on leave, so it's me you're having to listen to for this whole meeting, so sincere apologies. This is a very quick one, and it's just to signal that we are moving forward to review and update our learning and development policy. It's not a policy that we have reviewed recently. There's been obviously a number of other policy areas that have been a priority for us to bring forward first. But this going forward is particularly an important one, just in terms of changes in the whole delivery environment for learning and development. But more importantly than that, we are also planning to extend access for our LearnNL system to our frontline staff. So really begin to roll that out, and what that brings into play is an opportunity, and I know my trade union colleagues have already been discussing that with us, is an opportunity for us to look more widely at the whole learning and development policy and how we support frontline staff. That's also something we now have the opportunity to do, is have that discussion with our trade union colleagues about a trade union learning agreement, and also supporting staff more generally in terms of upping their qualifications. So we know that there's been really good uptake in areas like the graduate apprentice scheme. Even lower level staff have been engaged with that, but this opens a whole another opportunity for us to actually contribute to staff who may want to develop their qualifications and their skills and their opportunities, and the question of how we might do that, both with the rollout of the LNL platform, but perhaps going forward with some kind of skills pledge and some kind of support from the council to frontline staff in terms of qualifications or just professional or even personal learning. So I just want to signal that this is, I think, a really important review of that policy and let you know what the direction of travel is on that.
Does anybody have any questions for Fiona? Can I just for information for the committee, we are intending to sign the trade union learning agreement with the council tomorrow, if all going well at the meeting. So that's the intention. So that's a big step forward, I think, in reviewing all of this.
Okay. Sorry, that was quick. No other questions?
No, I think I'll ask Councillor Duffy if I can chair these every time.
You're very good at it.
We'll get through it in 10 minutes. Well, thanks very much, everybody. Thanks for your attendance and for your help, and I'll see you all on the other side, hopefully. Good luck. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.